On Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley was taken into custody after authorities say he fatally shot 4 students and injured 7 others at Oxford High School, north of Detroit.
The deadly school shooting in Michigan at Oxford High School, that's about an hour north of Detroit. 3 students killed, at least 8 others injured, including a teacher. An alleged lone gunman, a 15-year-old student, is in custody at this hour. Police say he was armed with a semi-automatic handgun. Multiple agencies responding to the call of an active shooter, ambulances in the driveway, the school principal getting on the PA with the code word for lockdown.
It is important to note that in the weeks and days leading up to the shooting, someone vandalized Oxford High School using red paint, climbed onto the building's roof, and threw the severed head of a deer into the courtyard. The severed head of the deer connects back to the blood sacrifice ritual which occurred in Waukesha. Remember, the suspect who was driving the red Escape that crashed into the Christmas parade filmed a rap video in front of the Milwaukee Bucks stag head. I told you then that the head of the deer represents the Celtic stag god Cernunnos, who is also connected with Pan, the Greek satyr. Cernunnos, like Osiris, was also depicted as a green man. Take note of this because we'll come back to it later. In some traditions, he is seen as a god of death and dying, and comforts the dead by singing to them on their way to the spirit world. This god would then be resurrected in the spring to impregnate the fertile goddess of the land. You will remember in the previous video, we also spoke about Cernunnos' connection to CERN in the opening up of portals or doorways in heaven to allow demonic spirits to pass through or escape from hell and enter into the physical world. Notice the code word used by the principal for this mass shooting was Alice Lockdown.
So with the PA, we hear our principal, Mr. Wolf, shouting, "Alice Lockdown, Alice Lockdown," and then we heard the gunshots in the class. And
Alice is a reference to Alice in Wonderland, who fell down the rabbit hole or portal to another dimension, which connects to Cernunnos and the portals for demonic spirits being opened by CERN. We also discovered that CERN uses the number of the beast, 666, in their logo, and there's also a statue of Shiva, the Destroyer, on their campus. Make a note of this as well, as we'll come back to it later, and you will see how this blood sacrifice ritual is connected to other rituals that we have discussed in the past, like Kanye West's Donda release event, where he set himself on fire while singing "I'm Free," representing the release of the king of the bottomless pit. It also connects to Travis Scott's Astroworld portal opening and escape plan video, as well as the blood sacrifice in Waukesha. Not surprisingly, this shooting also points to the opening up of portals or doorways for the devil and the demonic spirits that follow him. The name Oxford means where the oxen ford or cross over. An ox is the domestic bull or Taurus. The word ox comes from the Middle Irish os, meaning stag, a reference to the stag god or Cernunnos and the portals at CERN. The word ford means a shallow place where water can be crossed. It also means a going or passage from a route, which means to pass over. Therefore, this is a reference to the horned god Satan and the fallen angels that serve him, crossing over from the spiritual world into the physical plane of existence. The name Ethan can be found in Strong's Concordance as Strong's H387, which means enduring, and it also means a wise man. Remember this reference to being wise, as we'll come back to it shortly. Strong's goes on to tell us that Ethan means impetuous, perpetual, and constant. It states that the way of the wicked is pernicious, and the way of the wicked is a perennial stream. 2 Peter 2 verses 1 through 3 declares, "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not." The name Crumbley comes from crump, meaning crooked. Therefore, Ethan Crumbley represents the devil and the fallen angels, whose evil and wicked ways are constant and enduring. They are perpetually wicked and crooked. Ethan used a semi-automatic 9mm 6-hour SP 2022 pistol, which was purchased by his father on Black Friday. Friday is named after the Germanic goddess Frigga, wife of the one-eyed god Odin and goddess of love, who is conflated with Venus, who is connected to Lucifer. The number 9 in 9mm represents Satan, according to Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. The letter M is the 13th letter, so MM in millimeter is 1313, and since 1 plus 3 equals 4, MM or 1313 gives us the number 44 and points to Barack Obama. The name Sig is a reference to the Sig rune, which is associated with the sun and victory. We know that Obama has also been associated with the sun through his logo and victory through his speech at Victory Tower. The Sig rune is also the lightning bolt and points to Satan as the lightning that fell from heaven. It is important to note that the Sig rune was adapted into the emblem of Adolf Hitler's Nazi SS in 1933. The reference to Adolf Hitler also connects this satanic blood sacrifice ritual to the murder of young Adolf in Memphis, Tennessee. The name Sour is a nickname for an embittered or cantankerous person, from Middle High German Sauer, meaning a sour person. Ethan is a sophomore at the school. The word sophomore meant arguer. Another word for an arguer is the devil's advocate, which is nothing more than a disciple of the devil who promotes his cause. The word sophomore comes from sophism, which is a fallacious argument, especially one used deliberately to deceive. The word is derived from sophizestai, which means to become wise. But this is not true wisdom. It is false wisdom that is based on deception, fallacy, and lies. The reference to wisdom points to the owl and the false god Molech as well. The word sophomore is also from sophos, which variously translates to clever, skillful, intelligent, or wise. Sophia is also the goddess of wisdom or knowledge in Gnosticism. Remember earlier we discovered that the name Ethan in the scriptures is connected to a wise man. This was not by coincidence. The fact that Ethan is a sophomore was meant purposefully to point to the false and deceptive wisdom of the serpent. We are told about this false wisdom in Matthew 10:16, which declares, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." Interestingly enough, the principal of Oxford High School is a Mr. Stephen Wolfe. The name Stephen means the crown of victory, and this crown is symbolically being given to the wild and ferocious wolf. It is also important to note that the word sophister frequently referred to young and not yet wise people whose reasoning was immature. It was synonymous with words like perverse, trifling, wicked, and cunning wisdom. Thus, the word sophomore was used to describe both the wise and foolish. Once again, we are told about this foolish wisdom in the scriptures as well. 1 Corinthians 3:19 declares, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness." This entire event was craftily designed and carried out to give glory to the devil. Even the postings on his Instagram account clearly show this. Supposedly, Ethan posted a countdown for when he planned to carry out the shooting. Notice at the top of the post are the words GraphCap Brewing. GraphCap Brewing is a brewing company in Oxford that crafts beer, wine, and spirits. Why is this important? Here you see 3 women dressed in period garb as alewives. The tall hats became a part of witch iconography. In fact, up until the 1500s, brewing beer or crafting spirits was primarily women's work. The bubbling brews, broomsticks, and pointed hats of alewives became synonymous with witches in their black cauldrons of magic brews or potions in their witchcraft and conjuring up of spirits. Thus, the mention of GraphCap Brewing was meant to signal that this event was the result of satanic ritual magic being crafted or carried out by practicing witches. You may remember we saw a connection to the witch's brew in the past back in February of 2020 through the mass shooting at the Molson Coors Miller Brewing Company in Milwaukee. Also notice that the color used on his Instagram was purple, which points to demonic possession. He also used a picture of Robert Johnson, who is considered to be one of the greatest blues performers of all time. Not only that, but as the legend goes, Robert Johnson took his guitar to the crossroads where he made a deal with the devil, who returned his guitar in exchange for a soul. Remember, in the previous video, I showed you young Adolf making a deal with the devil at the crossroads as well. Interestingly enough, Johnson's hits include I Believe I'll Dust My Broom, which is a reference to being a witch, and Sweet Home Chicago, which is a reference to Obama's hometown. This connects back to the time when Obama first became president, and in service to Obama, witches swept Washington clean with their brooms. As a side note, I found this vintage footage of a man playing the guitar and harmonica that was alleged to be Robert Johnson, and in it there is an advertisement for 666 cold preparation. By hiding a reference to the number of the beast in this old footage, it seems that the devil has been up to his old tricks for quite some time.
Dinoso.